Carl Jung understood something that modern psychology has forgotten. Sexual energy is not limited to sex. It is the most powerful life force we possess. It is libido in the deepest sense, a pure psychic energy that can be channeled into all areas of life. And when you learn to use this energy consciously, you don't just change your behavior, you transform your soul. Most men waste this energy by ejaculating mindlessly, indulging in fantasies, consuming pornography, and then wondering why they don't have the energy to create, build, and succeed. They live in survival mode when they could be living in creation mode, because they don't understand. The same energy that creates a life can create a masterpiece. The same force that creates a child can create an empire. It all depends on where you direct it. The hard truth is this: if you don't use your sexual energy for your inner transformation, it uses you to keep you exactly where you are, stagnant, fragmented, weak. Jung called this possession by complexes, autonomous patterns that control you without your knowledge. The sexual complex is the most powerful. It can enslave you or liberate you. It all depends on who controls it, the complex itself or you. In this video, you will discover the complete Jungian method of transformation through sexual energy. This isn't repression or denial. It's a conscious transmutation. It's inner alchemy. You'll discover how Jung used the concepts of libido, shadow, anima, and individuation to teach how to transform animal desire into human genius. And most importantly, you'll leave with a practical, step-by-step method you can apply today. Do you feel a latent power within you? If you want to stop wasting your essence and start creating with it, if you are ready for the true transformation taught by Jung, persevere to the end. Because the next few minutes can transform not only your relationship with sex, but also your identity. Before discussing the use of sexual energy, it is necessary to understand what it really is. This is where Jung revolutionized everything. Freud considered libido as simply a repressed sexual desire. Jung saw something much broader. Libido is psychic energy in general. It is the intensity of the psychic process. It is the life force that circulates within you and can be channeled into all areas of existence. Imagine libido as electricity. Electricity isn't inherently used to light lamps or power computers. It's a neutral energy that can serve multiple purposes. The same electricity that lights your home can kill you if misused. The same goes for libido. The same energy that can enslave you in the vicious cycle of pornography and masturbation can, if consciously directed, transform you into a creator, a leader, a master. Jung observed that all great human achievements, art, science, philosophy, spirituality, were the fruit of a redirected libido. Leonardo da Vinci didn't have the energy to paint the Mona Lisa and waste it in orgies. Tesla didn't have the energy to revolutionize electricity and indulge in carnal pleasures. Consciously or unconsciously, they practiced what Jung called sublimation, the transformation of instinctive energy into cultural and spiritual achievements. But be careful. Sublimation is not repression. Repression is forcing desire into the unconscious, where it festers and breeds neuroses. Sublimation is consciously elevating energy, giving it a creative channel, a transformed expression. It's like water. If you block it without an outlet, it rots. If you create channels, it flows and waters gardens. And here's the bottom line, which few people understand. Sexual energy is the most intense psychic energy available to human beings. This is why sex is so obsessive. This is why pornography is so addictive. This is why sexual desire dominates so many men. Not out of moral weakness, but because this energy, when not consciously directed, becomes an autonomous complex that lives its own life in the unconscious. Jung said you essentially have two options with your libido. Let it die down through the path of least resistance, casual sex, pornography, compulsive masturbation, or consciously redirect it toward higher avenues of fulfillment, artistic creation, professional development, spiritual development, deep relationships. The first option is easy. The second requires what Jung called personal work. But only the latter leads to individuation, the process of becoming who one truly is. Individuation, Jung's central concept, is the process of integrating all aspects of the psyche, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, inner masculine and feminine, into a coherent whole. Sexual energy is the fuel for this process. When it is dispersed, There is no energy left for deep inner work. By consciously awaiting and transmuting it, we acquire the power necessary for true psychological transformation. Jung worked with patients trapped in compulsive sexual patterns, and he wasn't judging them morally. He was helping them understand. This compulsion is a symptom, not the disease. Disease is vital energy lacking a proper channel. Treatment isn't about removing that energy. It's about providing higher, more satisfying channels, more in tune with the true self. And when these patients learned to redirect their libido, miracles happened. Men who had previously been obsessed with sex suddenly discovered a passion for painting, writing, entrepreneurship, and helping others. Their energy didn't disappear. It was transformed. And in that transformation, the man transformed himself. Because you don't change behavior by changing your thoughts. We change our behaviors by altering the energy flow that drives them. It is therefore essential to understand this. Your sexual energy is not your enemy, but your most powerful ally, but only if you understand its nature and learn to consciously direct it. And it starts with the next step, identifying where your energy is currently leaking. Jung taught that before you can transform anything, you must become aware of it. Until you do, it will rule your life and you will call it destiny. And most men are unaware of how and where their sexual energy is leaking. They only feel the result: chronic fatigue, lack of motivation, unfinished projects, abandoned dreams. First refuge, pornography. It's obvious, but it needs to be said. Pornography isn't just about watching videos. It's an energetic ritual where vital energy is drained through the eyes. Each video watched, each image absorbed, creates neural connections that reinforce this pattern. Observe the sexual stimulation, seek gratification, ejaculate, feel the emptiness, repeat, and each repetition makes the channel deeper, more automatic and harder to change. Jung called this an autonomous complex, a pattern that has taken on a life of its own in your unconscious. You no longer decide to watch porn. The complex decides for you, and the more energy you inject into it, the more powerful it becomes until it possesses you. You become a puppet of your own desire. Second escape, compulsive masturbation. Note the word compulsive. Jung was no prude. He conceived of sexuality as a natural part of the psyche, but compulsion is different from conscious choice. Compulsion is when you do something without meaning to, when you promise to stop and can't, when you feel controlled rather than in control. And compulsive masturbation is a direct and literal waste of vital energy. It's not just the physical act, but also what's happening psychologically. You had the energy to write, work out, or build something, but instead you masturbated, and after ejaculating, your energy was gone. Your motivation evaporated. The project was postponed until the next day, and the next day the cycle begins again. Third escape, obsessive sexual fantasy. This is the most subtle and dangerous because it is not physical. Jung devoted a lot of time to studying the power of imagination. He understood that the unconscious mind does not distinguish between the imaginary and the real. When you spend hours fantasizing sexually, your nervous system perceives it as real and consumes energy accordingly. You're at work, but you're mentally imagining elaborate sexual scenarios. You're chatting with someone, but your mind is filled with fantasies. You fall asleep, and instead of resting, you create erotic scenarios. This is wasted psychic energy. Energy that could be used for creative imagination, for solving real problems, for imagining the future you want to build. Fourth escape, casual sex without connection. Jung spoke of the anima, the inner femininity that every man carries within. He taught that casual sex, especially frequent sex without true emotional commitment, fragments the anima. Every casual encounter leaves a fragment of your soul with the other person. You disperse psychologically. You lose your integrity in the literal sense of the word. You are no longer whole. Conscious sex in connection in presence can be enriching, but compulsive sex, the relentless quest for validation through the body, is an escape. You look outside for what you can only find inside, and by looking outside, you ignore the inner work that would truly transform you. So take a moment. Brutal honesty where your energy escapes, daily pornography, nighttime masturbation, constant fantasies, one-night stands seeking to fill the void, or for the most part, a combination of all of these. Jung said, don't judge yourself. Judgment is the ego. Simply observe, bring it to awareness, for the conscious can be worked on. The unconscious controls you. The next step is to learn to consciously contain this escaping energy, not to repress it, but to contain it. There is a crucial difference. Conscious restraint is not violent repression. Repression involves forcefully suppressing desire, denying its existence, creating a pressure that eventually explodes in neurotic forms. Conscious restraint is something else entirely. It is recognizing desire, observing it, but choosing not to act on it. It is creating an alchemical receptacle in the psyche, where the energy is held and transformed. Jung constantly used the analogy of alchemy. The alchemist spoke of the vas hermeticon, the sealed receptacle where pramatter was deposited and, through constant heat, transformed from lead into gold. Your body and psyche are that receptacle. Sexual energy is the raw material, and conscious mastery is the seal that allows transformation to occur. Step 1. Recognize without identifying. When sexual desire arises, and it will, you don't say, "I'm excited," but rather, the excitement seems subtle, but it's revolutionary at first. You identify with the desire. You are the desire. In the second case, you observe the desire. You are the consciousness that perceives the arousal, but you are not the arousal itself. Jung taught that most human suffering stems from identification with psychic contents. You identify with thoughts and believe you are your thoughts. You identify with emotions and believe you are your emotions, but you are not. You are the observer, and when you observe sexual desire without melting into it, you create space, and in that space lies the power of choice. Step 2. Conscious breathing and body grounding. When intense sexual desire arises, it tends to draw you into your mind, into fantasies, into planning how to satisfy it. Conscious restraint forces you to step out of your mind and into your body. Breathe deeply. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your weight on the chair. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. This is not a distraction. It is an anchor in present reality. Uncontrolled sexual desire resides in imagination, the past, memories, or the future in anticipation. But when you anchor yourself in the present, in your real body, in the moment, desire loses its compulsive power. It's still there, but it no longer attracts you. Step 3. The inner dialogue with desire. Jung developed the technique of active imagination, a method for consciously dialoguing with unconscious contents. You can use it with sexual desire. When it arises intensely, instead of repressing it or giving in to it, you ask yourself internally, what do you really want? What are you trying to tell me? Often you will discover that sexual desire is masking another need: loneliness, boredom, anxiety, the need for connection, the avoidance of responsibility. When you discover the true need behind sexual desire, you can respond to it directly, without using sex as an anesthetic. Step 4. Immediate redirection of energy. Containment isn't just about containing, it's about containing and redirecting. When you feel pent-up sexual energy, you immediately channel it elsewhere. Intense physical exercise, creative writing, focused project work, deep meditation, any activity that requires energy and presence. Jung taught that energy doesn't disappear. It simply changes form. If you harness it without redirecting it, the pressure builds and you eventually relapse. But if you harness and redirect it, the energy flows naturally through the channel you provided. And over time, this new channel becomes the preferred path. The libido learns, when I wake up, I turn to creation, not to masturbation. Fifth step, patience with the process. Jung always insisted that true psychological transformation takes time. It's not a matter of weeks, but months, even years of consistent practice. The first days of restriction are brutal. The mind screams, the body insists. The unconscious sends us temptations in the form of erotic dreams, obsessive thoughts, and elaborate justifications. But if you persist in acknowledging without identifying, anchoring yourself in the body, engaging with desire and redirecting the energy, something changes. Sexual energy, once your master, becomes your servant. And when this happens, you access a power most men are unaware of, the power to create consciously, rather than being created by unconscious forces. Active imagination is one of the most powerful techniques developed by Jung, and few people know how to use it specifically to transmute sexual energy. This is not a superficial positive visualization. It is a profound method for communicating with the unconscious and consciously transforming psychic energy. Here's how it works. Sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and instead of repressing the sexual images that arise, observe them from a different perspective. You are not a forced participant. You are a conscious witness, watching a film produced by your unconscious. And then you do something revolutionary. You consciously intervene in the narrative. Imagine that a specific sexual fantasy arises. Instead of repressing it with guilt or pursuing it to the point of masturbation, you ask the image, what do you represent? What aspect of my psyche do you symbolize? And you wait for the unconscious to respond. Sometimes the answer comes in words, sometimes in feelings, sometimes the image itself transforms. A seductive woman can become a figure of power, a creative muse, a goddess of wisdom. Jung called this working with the anima, the inner feminine archetype that, when not integrated, manifests as an outward sexual obsession. The goal is not to eliminate sexuality from the psyche, but to integrate it. It's about allowing sexual energy, rather than remaining trapped in compulsive fantasies, to emerge and transform into creative energy, inspiration, and a connection to deeper dimensions of meaning. Case in point, you experience a strong sexual desire. Instead of searching for pornography, sit down, close your eyes, and let your imagination run wild. Visualize sexual energy as a bright red light in your lower abdomen. Watch it pulse. Then consciously imagine this light traveling up your spine. As it rises, it changes color. Red turns orange in your abdomen, then yellow in your solar plexus, the center of personal power. Green at the heart, transforming desire into love. Blue at the throat, transforming it into creative expression. Indigo at the third eye, transforming it into vision and intuition. And finally, violet or white at the crown of the head, transforming it into spiritual connection. It's not just imagination. Jung understood that imagination is the language of the unconscious. By consciously working with your inner images, you literally reprogram neural circuits and redirect psychic energy flows. You perform true alchemy in the laboratory of your own consciousness. Another active imagination technique, specific to sexual energy. You engage in a direct dialogue with your embodied desire. You imagine it as a figure. Say it could be an animal, a person, a force, and you ask it, "Why are you so intense right now? What do you need from me?" You listen sincerely, and often the desire reveals itself. "I am intense because you are avoiding something important. Use my energy to confront what you're avoiding." Or, "I'm intense because you're not creating anything. I'm creative energy and you've blocked me. Give me a creative outlet." By engaging in this dialogue, you realize that sexual desire isn't a monster to be destroyed, but a messenger to be listened to. It's a vital energy that tries to propel you, but you don't give it conscious direction, which unconsciously pushes you toward masturbation, pornography, and compulsion. Jung argued that neurosis is blocked creative energy, and sexual neurosis, pornography addiction, compulsive masturbation, and sexual obsession is simply a powerful libido lacking an appropriate creative outlet. The solution isn't to kill your libido, but to open that channel. Active imagination is the ideal tool for consciously negotiating with the unconscious which channel to use. With regular practice, 15 to 20 minutes a day of active imagination, working specifically on sexual energy, something profoundly changes. The energy that previously controlled you becomes your ally. Stop sinking and start rising. You then experience what Jung called the transcendent function, the psyche's ability to synthesize opposites, spirit and matter, the sacred and the sexual, into a third higher being. Jung devoted much of his work to the concept of the shadow, everything within yourself that you deny, repress, or reject. And for most men, there is a huge sexual shadow. Fantasies they consider perverse, desires they deem evil, impulses they desperately try to hide, even from themselves. And therein lies the Jungian paradox. The more one represses the sexual shadow, the more power it has over one. What one denies becomes obscured. What you hide grows in the unconscious and eventually explodes in the form of devastating relapses, compulsive behaviors and actions that you deeply regret later but cannot avoid. Integrating the sexual shadow means acting on all impulses, bringing them into the light of consciousness, observing them without judgment, and understanding their true psychological representation. Step 1. Honestly map the shadow. Take a notebook in complete privacy and write down all the sexual fantasies you're ashamed to admit, all the urges you judge, all the desires you hide. Don't censor, don't judge, just write. This is the first step to becoming aware of the shadow. Step 2. Symbolic, not literal analysis. Jung taught that psychic contents rarely mean what they seem. A domination fantasy may not refer to the desire to sexually dominate someone. It may refer to a repressed desire to control one's life, a feeling of powerlessness. A submission fantasy may not refer to the desire to be sexually dominated. It may refer to the weariness of always having to be strong, of always having to lead, of always having to take responsibility. Sexual fantasy is the unconscious's way of expressing unmet psychological needs. So for each item you note, ask yourself, what does this symbolize psychologically? What non-sexual need is being expressed through this sexual fantasy? And write down your thoughts. You'll be surprised at the connections you discover. Step 3. Acceptance without identification. After mapping and analyzing comes the most difficult step. Accepting that these fantasies exist within you without identifying with them as something that defines you. You can have a fantasy and choose not to act on it. You can recognize an impulse and decide not to act on it. Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to be." You are not your fantasies. You are not your impulses. You are the consciousness that observes them and has the power to choose how to respond to them. Step 4. Direct dialogue with the shadow. Still using the technique of active imagination, you can personify your sexual shadow. Imagine it as a silhouette. It could be your shadow, a monster, any naturally arising form, and you dialogue with it. Why do you exist? What do you want from me? What would happen if I integrated you instead of repressing you? You listen to the answers, and often the shadow reveals to you. I exist because you repress power. I exist because you deny your own power. I exist because you are not living authentically. Step 5. Transmute shadow energy. The sexual shadow contains considerable energy. When you repress it, this energy harms you in the form of compulsion, shame, and self-sabotage. But when you consciously integrate it, that same energy becomes available and allows you to use your creativity. Transmuted sexual aggression transforms into assertiveness in business. Transmuted sexual obsession transforms into intense focus on projects. Transmuted elaborate fantasy transforms into creative imagination for art or innovation. Same energy, different expressions. Jung worked with men who came to him with deep shame about their sexuality, and he didn't lecture them. He taught them that shame arises from dissociation. You've separated a part of yourself and condemned it. Healing comes from integration. You recognize that part as your own, understand its symbolic meaning, and consciously decide how to express its energy constructively. And when the sexual shadow is integrated, something magical happens. The compulsion disappears, for the compulsion is always a disintegrating shadow trying to infiltrate consciousness. When you consciously illuminate this shadow, it no longer needs to explode in destructive ways, and the trapped energy is released for you to use as you please. Integrating the shadow doesn't happen in a week. It's a journey of months, even years, but it's essential because you can't truly transmute your sexual energy if half of it is hidden in the shadows, unconsciously sabotaging you. You have to bring everything to light, become aware of everything. Then and only then will you fully access the transformative power of this energy. Jung conceived of sublimation not as a denial of instinct, but as its elevation. It consists of capturing the pure energy of sexual desire and consciously channeling it into cultural, creative, and spiritual expressions. And he was deeply pragmatic about this. Understanding the concept is not enough. Actual channels, concrete activities, are necessary to channel this energy. Channel number 1, artistic creation. The connection between sexual energy and artistic creativity is direct and powerful. Great artists throughout history, painters, writers, and musicians often practiced celibacy, temporary or prolonged, during periods of intense creativity. They intuitively understood that the same energy that creates biological life creates art. When you feel pent-up sexual energy, Channel it immediately into artistic expression. Write. No need for a perfect work of literature. Write whatever comes to mind. Paint. No need to be technically correct. Let the energy flow through colors. Play an instrument, compose, dance. Any form of artistic expression is a channel for a transmuted libido. The important thing is to do it when your sexual energy is intense. Don't wait for it to pass. Take advantage of it. Feel the intensity of sexual desire and consciously redirect it toward the creative act. Over time, your nervous system learns to perceive sexual energy, the key moment of creation, and the channel is neurologically established. Channel of intense physical exercise. Jung understood the importance of the body. Sexual energy is, in essence, the physical life force, and the body needs to express it physically. When you feel intense sexual desire, instead of masturbating, exercise. Not a light workout, but intense, to the point of muscular failure, until your body screams. What happens is alchemical. The sexual energy, fiery and bubbling, transforms into sweat, exertion, and muscle development. The same energy that would drive you to pornography drives you to the gym. And after a workout, you don't feel the emptiness you do after masturbating. You feel fulfilled because you've used your energy to build it up, not waste it. Channel 3, focused and productive work. Successful entrepreneurs often practice sublimation without realizing it. They have boundless sexual energy and channel it directly into work. They're obsessive, but their obsession isn't sex. It's focused on building businesses, solving problems, and building empires. Set a rule for yourself. Whenever you feel a strong sexual desire during the day, immediately devote 25 intense minutes, using the Pomodoro technique, to your most important project, without distraction. Absolute focus. Take the fire of libido and throw it into the fire of productive work, and you'll be amazed at its output. Channel 4, deep study and learning. Ibintier. Jung was a voracious intellectual and understood that the mind, fueled by a sublimated libido, operates on another level. You absorb information faster, make deeper connections, and grasp complex concepts more easily. When your sexual energy increases, choose a challenging book, one requiring total concentration, philosophy, advanced science, or deep psychology, and immerse yourself in it. Use the intensity of your libido to immerse yourself in the subject. You will experience states of flow rarely seen when dissipating your sexual energy. Channel 5, spiritual practice. All mystical traditions teach that sexual energy is spiritual energy. When monks practice celibacy, it is not to deny the body, but to accumulate sufficient energy for deep spiritual practices. Meditation, contemplative prayer, and breathing practices require energy, and accumulated sexual energy is the most powerful fuel. Adopt a daily meditation practice of 20 to 30 minutes and always meditate. When sexual energy is intense, use the intensity of desire as your meditation object. Observe the sensation without acting. Feel the energy rising and, instead of releasing it sexually, direct it upward through intention and conscious breathing. Channel 6, deep relationships. Jung emphasized that sublimation does not mean avoiding relationships, but rather elevating their quality. By not wasting one's energy on pornography and casual encounters, one has the energy necessary for an authentic, deep and meaningful connection. Sexual energy, instead of being wasted on futile pursuits, becomes available to create true intimacy, for deep conversations, for an authentic presence with the other, for love which is not just physical attraction, but a union of souls. This is also sublimation, elevating the sexual to the level of spirituality in the context of conscious relationships. The fundamental principle is this: the libido cannot stagnate. It must flow. If you don't offer it conscious channels, it will unconsciously flow toward pornography, masturbation, and compulsion. But if you offer it higher channels, art, exercise, work, study, spirituality, and deep love, it will flow toward them. And in this conscious flow, you are transformed, for you become the master of your own energy instead of being directed by it. Individualization is the concept. A central aspect of Jungian psychology is the process of becoming a complete, integrated, and authentic individual. This is who you truly are, beyond all the social masks, your oversized ego, and the complexes that enslave you. Transmuted sexual energy is the essential fuel for this process. Why? Because individuation requires intense and sustained psychic energy. It takes energy to confront your shadow, integrate your unconscious, resist the collective pressure to be like everyone else, and stay true to yourself when the whole world is pulling you in opposite directions. And most men don't have that energy because they waste it every day. The man who ejaculates compulsively lives in energetic survival mode. He has enough energy for basic functions, working, eating, sleeping, repeating, but not enough for the deep inner work necessary for individuation. He is always operating in deficit, always tired, constantly lacking the time and energy for true growth. But the person who transmutes sexual energy enters a state of energetic abundance. They possess the energy necessary not only to survive, but also to flourish, create, transform, and individualize. And this abundant energy radically transforms their relationship with themselves and the world. First, you can undertake the shadow work that most avoid, because facing it is uncomfortable. It involves observing the aspects of yourself that you hate. It involves admitting things you have always denied. This takes courage, and courage takes energy. The scattered person does not have the energy for this inner struggle. The transforming person has plenty of it. Second, you can resist the collective personality. For Jung, the persona is the social mask, what we pretend to be to fit in, and the collective constantly pushes us to maintain this mask, to pretend, to follow the herd. Resisting this pressure and living authentically requires considerable psychic energy. Most people don't have it. The person who transmutes, however, does. Third, you can integrate opposites. Jung taught that individuation is the union of the conscious and unconscious, the inner masculine and feminine, light and shadow, spirit and matter. This integration is not intellectual, but energetic. Sufficient tension is needed to maintain the tension of opposites without causing them to collapse, and transmuted sexual energy provides precisely this tension. Fourth, you can follow the solitary path that individuation often requires. Jung said that individuation sets you apart from the crowd. You stop unconsciously following collective values. You stop seeking external approval. You are guided inwardly by yourself, not outwardly by the group. And that is solitude. It takes immense strength to follow your own path when everyone around you is following someone else. Transmuted sexual energy provides that strength, and herein lies the ultimate and deepest paradox. By transmuting sexual energy into individuation, one finally transcends even the obsessive need for transmutation. For individuation, when sufficiently complete, dissolves the over-identification with the ego that causes sexual compulsion. First, we stop using sex to fill an existential void, because we no longer have one. We've found the selfie, we've felt complete. And when we feel complete, sex returns to what it always was, an expression of fulfillment, not a desperate quest for fulfillment. The individualized man possesses sexual energy, but is not possessed by it. He uses it when he wishes, as he wishes. He can make love consciously, create passionately, work intensely, meditate deeply, all with the same energy, consciously directed toward different expressions, depending on the situation. This is the ultimate goal of Guyanese sexual energy work. Not to kill or repress it, but to make it fully conscious and integrated. And when you achieve this, you no longer struggle with yourself. You dance with your own energy. You become the conductor of your inner orchestra. And the music you create is your life lived with authenticity, strength, and fulfillment. Individuation through transmuted energy is not an easy path. Jung never promised ease. He promised truth. And the truth is that you possess within you the energy necessary to completely transform yourself, but only if you stop wasting it and start using it consciously. The power has always been there, waiting for you to learn the language of transmutation. Jung dedicated his life to understanding the human psyche, and one of his greatest discoveries was this: sexual energy isn't just about sex, it's the most powerful life force you have, and what you do with it determines who you become. You can waste it on pornography, compulsive masturbation, endless fantasies, and living in survival mode. Always tired, always starting from scratch, always empty after each ejaculation. Or you can consciously transmute it, Contain it, redirect it, sublimate it into creation, work, art, spirituality, deep love, and live in abundance, with surplus energy, creative power, and a capacity for true individuation. The choice is yours. But understand that not choosing is choosing the path of least resistance, and that path keeps you exactly where you are, mediocre, fragmented, possessed by unconscious complexes. Jung taught that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it destiny. Is your sexual energy ruling your life now? Or are you ruling it? If you are ready to take control, to learn the language of transmutation, to use this powerful energy to transform yourself from the inside out, then do 3 things now. First, subscribe to the channel, because this is just one path among many. You'll find more knowledge and detailed advice, more practical transformation techniques, and truths about how to consciously use your psyche to create the life you desire. This channel is for men who aren't satisfied with superficiality, and you're one of them. Then go to the comments and write what you learned in this video that you'll apply today. Maybe I'll practice conscious moderation. Maybe I'll use my active imagination. Maybe I'll map my sexual shadow. Declare it publicly, because public declaration creates commitment, and commitment creates action. Third, share this video with a man caught in the cycle of sexual debauchery, who is making efforts without success, who feels powerful but cannot access it. Send it to him, because this knowledge can change the course of his life, and you can be the catalyst. Sexual energy is your most powerful life force. Use it consciously, transmute it alchemically, become who you truly are.